Just me and a whole lot of birds out here this morning. Some traffic noise. I actually had to put my earplugs in last night. Though I did have a lightning bug on the tent, which I love those things for some reason. You would not believe how high my tick paranoia is lately. Honestly, I found one right at the end of the northbound rail trail. It was on my pad when I set up for the night. But despite me imagining tickles and checking, I've yet to find another, which don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining about that. I am not a fan of ticks, particularly those scary little ones that cause all the issues out here. Welcome to another wet, bloody morning. I have just a bar or two of reception up here, and I was able to text with Jen a little bit last night. It looks like we're going to be targeting Evansville, Indiana, as far as when she's going to join me. We're not going to be booking tickets just yet because a lot can happen, but that's kind of roughly what we're figuring. And basically, I am halfway there from the start. Basically, we're just doing math, saying, okay, well, if Matt's doing 20 to 25 miles a day, I'm aiming for 22 to 25, but things come up. Where do I think I'll be? We'll have to book it in a couple of weeks, and then hopefully we can find somebody to give her a ride or manage an Uber if I'm not right there. The trail does go straight through Evansville, so it may work out. Just have to see. I tend to straddle between, things will work out one way or another, trail provides, et cetera, and the universe hates a plan. The moment that you go, oh, okay, well, if I just do this moderate mileage, I'll be here, something's going to come up, and it messes you up every time. Well, that's different. I normally do the Columbia. That's the via that tastes the best to me, but I mix in Veranda Blend / True North, as it's called up in Canada. However, I just tried to open this one, and it's not dust. It's like a solid coffee candy. Kind of tempted to eat it, but I looked at the time after I finished the video, and I'm like, oh, I'm done early. I'm just going to keep it at 2 cups of coffee and then get going, and this is my 3rd cup of coffee. I think my honeymoon phase ended around 500 miles. I'm still enjoying myself out here, some days, most days. But it gets harder to get out of the tent. I'm just tired all the time. That zero did me a lot of good, but 25-mile days, I'm not a 25-mile-a-day hiker. I got to push myself to do that. So you might notice I'm carrying my umbrella on top instead of on the side. The reason is I can basically reach up and pull it out if it starts raining on me. / if I don't have my trekking poles out, I figure I can use it to fight off the dogs. I am so bloody paranoid about ticks out here. I haven't sprayed my clothes. I generally wait till there is a problem because it wears off after a couple of weeks of, sweating and washing and everything out of here. But I keep feeling phantom tickles and then checking, and it's nothing. And every time I see a scrap of dirt on me, which, when it's wet, you get a lot of that, I keep getting paranoid and trying to gouge it out. So while my shoes are sopping from walking through the wet grass, my tent fly actually dried out, which was a nice change. This time of year is honestly kind of the best time for me. Not too hot and just the really, really long days. Because that means when I have stuff I need to do and I want time in the tent in the morning, I still have a lot of daylight hours stretching into the evening. And I love hiking late. I don't hop out of bed ready to go, pound 10 miles out before 10 a.m. or anything, but I will happily keep hiking until the sun goes down. Which again is a detriment on this particular trail where quite often I am needing to find some sort of camping arrangement. If I was stopping at 4 o'clock in the afternoon like some friends do because they start pre-dawn, I could presumably have a little bit of an easier time looking around and finding somebody who'll let me stake out their front yard. If there is one lesson I've learned through all this, it is there are many different approaches to through hiking. And anybody trying to sell, their approach as the way to through hike, it probably has limited experience or is just trying to sell something. So this will hopefully be the last 50 miles on the battered remains of my current pair of shoes or so. However, it looks like I'm going to be on actual trail today. I'm sure it'll be awesome, but part of me has really been wishing for just a few days worth of hard pavement, since I don't have rocks and whatnot to dig through what remains of the foam on the bottom. I just managed an updated forecast, and it's basically for overcast in the morning, rain in the afternoon, but a minimal amount. I only really have to worry if, you're talking like a ½ inch, a major storm, things like that. Honestly, this kind of breezy overcast is probably the best possible weather I could ask for right now. Because once it gets warm, that brings its own challenges. So a good chunk of today is going to be a squiggle around the Burr Oak Reservoir. Those can be kind of frustrating because when I'm looking at the big map, progress is satisfying. Oh, hey, I went across another section map, the intro of the video, stuff like that. So I try not to pay too much attention to it and just, keep an eye on the miles. If I'm making 25 a day, I'm feeling good. Yesterday was actually a really positive day overall. Some foot pain, but the audiobook I was listening to was reasonably distracting. I got 3 cups of coffee with lunch, which is always a huge plus, which probably contributed to me making my miles. And I got to talk with multiple people, which is always kind of fun. I don't really have much on my radar as far as what's ahead. Like I said, I saw that there was a trail section for at least part of today, but I don't tend to exhaustively research because I like to be surprised. When I was doing the PCT and I was going through the Sierra, the Sierra is amazing, don't get me wrong. That was probably my least favorite section of the Pacific Crest Trail though, because I knew it like the back of my hand. And every time, we got to somewhere, I always knew, okay, and then it's this pass, and then there's this, and then there's this. Versus here, you never know what you're going to get. Something new every day. So blazes are generally an East Coast thing. You see them every now and then out west, but not nearly as much. If anything, you see the occasional, emblem up on the side of the trail. It is nice ones like that mark the turns. I still check the map, but I don't have to be constantly checking the map to make sure I'm not making a wrong turn. See the CDT the last 2 years in his example. There you couldn't even make the turns that were, the heaviest foot traveled, because it seemed like most of the time that was not actually the CDT. A friend pinged me and was commenting on some of the things I've encountered so far, and it kind of struck me as interesting, just this trail so far in relation to what the CDT was like. Way more trail angels, trail magic, town food, stuff like that. At least the way I did the CDT, red line, etc. And similarly, a good chunk of the people out here are not doing said red line. They're skipping and jumping all over. Which again, I do not care what people do. It's just the engineer in me dislikes things that are mislabeled. If you say you're doing the American Discovery Trail and you're shortcutting big sections on highways and things, are you really doing the American Discovery Trail? Assuming you make it ocean to ocean, have you really done the American Discovery Trail? You've just hiked cross country. Hence why I tend to go to great lengths to explain what I'm actually doing and the decisions I'm actually making. Because quite often, they will make things significantly more difficult just because I'm bypassing things where I could have cut out days of tough trail, see like the Black Hills on the CDT, or, it's a lot more miles. If I was absolutely concerned with making San Francisco this year above all else, it gets hard to justify, taking this swing that goes out for 40 miles when I could cut across it for 8 miles. But even if stuff like that didn't often miss some of the prettiest sections of trail, that would just detract so much from my enjoyment. My best times out here are when I'm able to just kind of lose myself, enjoy my book, enjoy the scenery, and just be walking along without constantly going, okay, well, it's 4 miles to this and it's 8 miles to this. This whole section and the wiggle around the Burr Reservoir ahead is one of those sections where you look at a map and it is quite a bit shorter if you just walk roads and skip all of it. As much as it gets me all sorts of crap online, I will die on the hill that, you know, the Continental Divide Trail down in New Mexico, there is a design behind those red line sections that everybody skips because they're shorter or they want to do the Gila or this, that, or the other. The experience of doing the red line, you know, all 777 miles down there was a lot different than how a lot of other folks who have done it in a couple hundred less describe it. You know, your road walks are split up. You get in some really nice wilderness sections, volcanic sections. And I get torn between not wanting to open my mouth because I don't need any more crap thrown at me and wanting to talk about it, because if there are people out there like me who didn't know this going in, I'd hate for them to just follow groupthink and maybe, you know, miss out on something that they would really value. The most iconic sections of the CDT for me were not glacier or anything like that. It ended up being the Southern San Juans and like the Black Hills. But then again, as more than one of my exes have said quite loudly, I am a contrary person, which I of course strongly disagreed with. Oh, Jen would love this. Oh man, I love the greenery out here. I do miss the constant vistas of hiking out west. Well, look at this. Dirt. And of course there's a road walk to shortcut it, but oh man. And the other fun part of trail hiking, occasionally going down into the mud. Yeah. Got worried there for a moment. Got into this down tree hillscape, but turns out they'd rerouted the trail. Well, that answers that question. I was thinking I could drink out of the reservoir maybe, but oh well. This was a nice little break. Good timing on access to water. It actually started raining and had a little thunder and lightning while I was taking that break. One of the distinct memories from the AT was when the rain started like this. It took a couple of minutes for the water to really work its way through the canopy. God damn it. Just had two bad falls. One was on a wood bridge and the other was just hitting the mud. Right about the time I realized it was going to be a problem, I went down. It has been slow going with the mud now. Sadly, I don't have time to go to the lodge today, but I can afford a soda stop. Figures. I had $1 and 2 20s, and the vending machine was $2. At least I know I got water at the end of this, assuming I make it. It has been slow going so far. I was really hoping for more overcast today. Okay, water fill up for the night. I think I've come like 22 miles and it was way harder on me than yesterday. Sliding around in that mud, I wrenched a couple of things, and I mean my shoes basically don't have cleats on the bottom anymore, so that didn't help. I'm happy to be back on pavement, though there is another trail section ahead. There was a campground up above the dam. If it wasn't so far out of my way, I might have considered it just to be able to get off my feet, but I filled up on water. My plan is to get to the other side of the road, go up into the national forest area, and find a place to camp. Hopefully pretty quick, because I'm in rough shape. Okay, first campsite. Okay, came off trail, found something that'll work. Also found those mosquitoes I've been expecting. I am just doused in sweat and just beyond done, so time to get out of the mosquitoes and something to eat.